Hi, good afternoon everybody. Sorry for starting a little bit late there. My name is Paul Upex from the Training and Development team here at Labour Party Head Office.
I'm Gail from the Election Support team, and we're going to be delivering this webinar today.
Okay, just a couple of quick things. The session should last about 45-50 minutes. Please use the chat mechanism to ask us questions during the session as well. We will record the session and it will be available on our webinar library, and that's the link up there as well, and also you can be able to download the slides as well. So we'll put that up probably later, probably tomorrow it'll be up on there as well. So thanks a lot for joining us. Let's kick in straight away a little bit about what this session is about there for Gail.
Yeah, we want every seat across the country to be campaign ready. We don't know when the next general election is coming, and there are obviously ongoing elections all the time. This means that every seat should have a plan together of voter and membership engagement throughout the year. This session is going to help you plan your activity and how you're going to pay for it. So we want all of our members to play their part in Labour teams across the country. Wherever you are, we want every member to be able to get involved in campaigning. We want as many members as possible to go out on the doorsteps selling our message to the voters. And we want all of our members to understand why it is that we do that. Of course, if people are giving their time, we want it to be used effectively and not wasted. We want everyone to have a positive impact on the campaign. They can make a real difference. If you come out and talk to 3 people, you are going to talk to 3 more people than you would sitting in the house. And of course, we want as many members as possible to have a positive experience of all the sessions they attend. And we want them to come back. And ultimately, we do this all because we want to win elections. So, turn my page, apologies. In this session, we're going to be covering why it's important to make a plan, taking stock of what's already in place and how you get started, and then making the plan itself, your doorstep programme, local campaign and messaging, what it is you're saying to voters, planning your communications grid, digital campaigning, activating your membership, and of course, budgeting and fundraising.
So the first part of that is actually a little bit of understanding why we plan. This might sound quite simple, but it is actually really important. There's so many parts of a campaign that we're actually to bring them together, and that's what we are going to look at. We're going to look at the voter ID, we're going to look at the fundraising, we're going to look at the print, we're going to look at the digital, and we want all of that to be of such a high standard that actually we do need a plan. We can't just sit and wait for whoever it is to call the next general election, as Gail said. We need to start doing this now to be that ready for whenever, we're engaging with voters now, so whenever a general election is called, we're on the front foot taking that fight to the Tories across the country as well. So having that plan helps us use our resources effectively, what we do have, allow to target our volunteer time effectively with those voters that we need to speak to. We have those materials that are ordered and in advance now as well. So if you've got candidates at the moment, you've got parliamentary candidates, or even if you've got council candidates, make sure you've got those photos of them as well, So we'll talk a little bit about that with print later on as well. And actually having a plan actually stops that idea of panicking or no one knows whose responsibility it is. And actually avoids us making big mistakes, which can cost money, or having to get leaflets reprinted as well. So that's a little bit of actually why we think it's important to have a plan. And where we want to know a little bit about you is actually use the chat and tell us, is where do you think your constituency is at the moment? Are you ready if the general election was called in a month's time? Are you ready for that? Even if you have or haven't got a candidate in place, tell us a little bit. Use the chat. Have a look at that. Reflect how well your elections went. If you had any local elections this year, can you get leaflets out? How quickly you can get leaflets out? You may have already done this, but actually it is worth looking back. We have another webinar that's up in our library, which helps you actually how to reflect on some of the things that the key KPIs, take one of a better word type of thing. Actually, how well you might have done. And measuring how well you actually you did at the last elections, not just how you did the ballot box, but actually organisationally as well. So I think Gail's now going to talk a little bit about how you SWOT as well to sort of help you start and have that plan and to review your campaigning.
You need to be realistic when you're making a plan, or else it will fail before you even start. But importantly, you need to be stretching your target. It's a really fine balancing act, to be honest. a SWOT analysis is a really useful way of making a plan before you get into making a plan, because then you can think about that you have strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. It just gives you a little time to think about it. What are the strengths? What are you doing really well? You've got a good delivery network. Weakness, maybe you've not got a lot of money. Perhaps you could have a think about another weakness is you haven't got lots of activists. But then an opportunity is that the current MP, if you're fighting against an opposition MP, is never seen in the area. But a threat could be perhaps the Brexit Party or the Lib Dems. Think about that and then think about how you tailor your plan to that. So then, getting started and setting yourself some targets, the best way of measuring, apart from electoral success, which is obviously the ultimate way of measuring, is setting yourself some targets. What are the electorate? How many people do you need to speak to? How marginal is the seat or ward that you're fighting? What capacity do you have? How many people have you got? What's your candidate's availability? If you haven't selected a candidate yet, what other availability have you got for high-profile people who can come and lead the campaigns? And geography and demography. Is the seat massively spread out? Do you need to make sure that if it's a two-part seat, say Rosendale and Darwin, you're in one half at one time and one half at the other time? Just think about all those things.
Just a quick question that's coming from Dave, or statement really. He's saying his CLP is not ready. They've got a small budget, small number of activists, and they've got the sort of not gathering voter ID. So hopefully, Dave, what we will do is actually give you some idea of where to start, actually to try some ideas, actually sort of increasing capacity, some fundraising ideas, and actually to try and start little type of thing. You know what I mean? So I think when you are putting together that plan, try not to make it to be that, planning for failure type of thing, Try and have sort of realistic targets.
Exactly.
Try and have those achievable goals as well, and actually celebrate your wins. It might be that you're knocking on doors, but you've then found 200 Labour voters, or you found your first 100 Labour voters. Celebrate that, enjoy that, because that's 100 more that you know about than you previously didn't.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, have a look, have this. Get in touch with us as well, Dave, if the training team, if there's any support, or Gail's team, or training@labour.org.uk, and hopefully we might be able to point you in the right direction as well.
Fantastic. So, to make your plan, you need these things to consider. You need to have, obviously, the legal dates and deadlines, which are fixed by law and obviously immovable. Have a canvassing plan. Every seat in the country has something called Insights, which tells you which areas you need to, and roll holders can request access to that. So if you contact your CLP secretary, that will give you a list of the areas that we think you need to be campaigning in, and that updates after you've campaigned as well. That's really, really useful for making a campaign plan. Your messaging and communications grid, your print, your digital and media, they should all be saying the same thing at the same time and complementing what you're saying on the door. This obviously needs to be backed up by fundraising and infrastructure. If you don't have an office or a printer, think about how you can fundraise to get those facilities. You don't necessarily need a big fancy office, but somewhere to print your sheets and have leaflets delivered to is always really useful. This is a big issue that a lot of people have, capacity building and volunteer management. How do you get enough people to do what you need to do to deliver your campaign? But then how do you keep them and be grateful to them? Because there's nothing worse than going out campaigning and no one actually says thank you to you after. When you've assessed what volunteers you have, you need to see what training needs they have. Are there people that have been leafleting for years and probably would take the step forward to talking to people perhaps on a street stall or on the door knocking, but they don't feel quite confident in what it is they need to say? Have you got people that can run your digital ads? Do they need training on perhaps on promote, or does you need people trained on content creator? Of course, high visibility campaigning and events are brilliant. Street stalls. I'd always say to people though, if you're having a street stall or a high vis thing, always take a survey or a petition with you so that you can get some data and follow up on the people that you've spoken to. It's great having a really good and meaningful conversation on a street stall, but if you then don't follow it up perhaps with a letter or a phone call from the candidate, it's not always much use and it doesn't have much use.
And I think actually a local petition as well shows that we're in touch with local issues, and also it's a little bit of an icebreaker for people to talk about, to say, actually, are you interested in our petition type of thing as well. So
candidate diaries are really, really good thing because then everybody knows what that is expected of the candidate, and the candidate is able to plan their real life around being a candidate, because obviously it's a tough and grueling job. So if it's set out from the beginning what the expectations are of the candidate and when they're to be around. And it's never too early to start thinking about polling day. Polling day, it could have a general election in October, we could, what we know, we have local elections in May. Think about where you're going to have your committee rooms, how many people you're going to have. Never too early to start thinking about that.
No.
So, there's another few key tasks which are really, really useful to do. Organise a campaign committee meeting. Your campaign committee doesn't need to be formally constituted. You could just get people together that are interested, and there's obviously some suggestions there on who you might have. Include national campaign activity and action Saturdays in your strategy. Most seats will be able to order national print from the campaign shop really cheaply, and sometimes even free for national campaign days, and then that makes a really good social media presence that everybody across the country is campaigning on the same thing.
And I think a little bit of a thing coming up at the end of the month, we are going to be launching our summer campaign as well, so that'll give you sort of focus of some activity, carrying on, if you haven't started your campaign or you're having a little break, do campaign in August. Don't wait until September. Everyone says, everyone's on holiday.
Yeah.
Not everyone's on holiday. I don't go on holiday in August.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
People are more likely to be in.
Can't afford it.
Yeah.
So it's, don't just wait for September, because then obviously you've got less time, then the nights are getting less. Think about what you can do between now and say conference, but have a look out for that summer campaign. I've seen some of it. It looks really good as well.
Really, really good. Also, a big thing is, have you put in your marked register, mainly from general elections, of course, is a main big one, but have you got the marked register from the local elections so that we can see who turns out to vote? And then if you already have, even if you have no voter ID, there are selections on there that you can use with the marked register entered, which will help you target people who are likely to be Labour but didn't vote in the last election. And really importantly, have you set up your road groups? For those who don't know, road groups are what we would call walks, perhaps. They are. We recommend that you set up a road group to about 200 properties, because that would take a team of 5 about 2 hours to go door knocking on. Geographical streets that make sense together. You can put onto Content Creator. You can add in where a decent parking space is, whether there's flats, things like that. But they're really, really useful to have road groups.
Definitely. So I think what we would do is at the end of each year or the beginning of the year, we do have a Labour Party wall planner that does come out. We don't have any left at the moment. They're all sent out to candidates, MPs, and CLP secretaries as well. But you don't have to wait for the Labour Party one to start making your plan. But do grid it out. Have a look at the days that are coming up. And check things off once you've done them. That is not when you've achieved something. As I say, tick it off. Once it's been completed as well. So we're going to move on to this bit. Dave has asked, can the planner be sent out as a PDF? Yes, it can. Actually, I can make sure that it's available to download, or whether if you email me, I can make sure that we can send that over to you, and that'll just take you through the next sort of 5 months of the year as well. Good suggestion there, David. Thank you. So, elements of a great campaign. We've talked about a little bit of each of these as well, but that idea of capacity building, the idea of voter contact, what our message is, what we're saying it, why we're saying it, what we are going to achieve, and also what we have done, and also that print and digital part of the campaign as well. So, first of all, let's have a little look at capacity on this as well. That's something has already been mentioned in some of the questions that have come in. One of the best ways to try and activate your membership is actually have a regular campaign bulletin, which actually, so your campaign element isn't under all of the other things, like the minutes of the last meeting or your fundraising ask. Have a dedicated campaign bulletin as well. Think about if there's only a few of you, have a mobilisation phone bank, which is actually phoning up members, speaking to them, finding out what are the issues that they care about, what they would be prepared to do as well, and what they're prepared to campaign on. If you can, organise some one-to-ones with people. Actually, that's meeting them face-to-face, spending some time with them, telling them a little bit about what the local party is about, what it is that you hope to achieve over the next year. And actually, that's a good way a lot of people do things through relationships. Yeah. And actually, it's not just, it's easier to hide behind an anonymous email from someone, but if you've met someone, if you've actually spoken to them on the telephone, it's a little bit harder to say no to them the next time you actually ask them to come along to something as well. I would ensure that everyone puts their events up on our events.labour.org.uk. It's a good way of actually it's just good best practice. So actually, when you're advertising things, whether it's a door knocking or whether it's fundraising, actually people can sign up to it and say that they're coming to an event, and what you can then do is remind them with an email, but also telephone them through as well, actually, or send a text or something else like that, and just give them that little bit of an extra push saying, you've signed up for this, you're still coming on Saturday, don't worry, I'm going to be there as well, we can meet up beforehand, or I'll take you there, or whatever it is. Just break down some of those barriers that people might have towards getting involved as well.
Also on events, if you put your events up, and we do national emails here from our office asking people to sign up to their nearest campaign event, if yours is the nearest one that's been put up within 50 miles, everybody's going to be asked to come to yours. So it's a really, really good thing to do.
Yeah. Also, obviously, I'm from the training team, so I'd always encourage local CLPs to put on training. And that's not just for more experienced members, but if it's a door knocking session or could be actually you're going through something like this of why we do campaigning type of thing. Put on sessions like that. We can help support with you. Get in touch if you want to lead some sessions locally as well. We can provide you with some materials as well. Also, I think it's important to build relationships with your neighbouring CLPs as well, because I think actually what it does do that, it might be that if you're a target seat type thing or key seat in the next election, having that relationship with other CLPs who might be heartland Tory areas, and they might want to actually thinking, well, how can I get involved as a way of kicking out the Tories? Actually, what you want to do is actually find out, I'm going to go and help in that seat where it's really important that we need to win that seat to get the MPs to then actually get Jeremy in number 10. So there's some ideas with regards to capacity building.
I think someone's given us a bit of best practice there, Paul.
I will. That's quite a long bit, so let me have a read through that in a minute. I'm just going to go through this bit. We'll talk a little bit about actually talking to members, talking to them, having a conversation, find out what they care about, why they joined, what makes them angry. Focus on issues as well. That might be local as well as national issues. If you are putting together your plan, say to them, look, we're putting together our general election strategy. Do you want to be involved in that? Would you like to come along to that meeting and play your part in putting together that strategy, or what we should be campaigning about? As I say, they provide training, introductory campaign sessions, have socials and make it varied. Don't just go to the pub all the time, or don't just have pizza all the time, or whatever it is that you might do type of thing. Have a lots of different things that are appealing to people as well. So Anne's just put up, I am also just on the chat there, she said that she found through her experience that phone service were excellent. For those members who are less mobile can be involved, makes it social to do the phoning, and actually they're contributing to working for the party. Also asking residents their opinion has been very effective, and we're getting people signed up to email newsletters from your parliamentary candidate as well. That sounds really good, Anne. That's exactly what you want to be doing. If you've got any other sort of best practice that you might want to share with us, some of the emails or your newsletters from your local candidates, send them to us at training, because we also have got coming up at a conference at some point our best practice awards. So if you want to make a submission to that, look out for that coming up in our emails over the next couple of weeks as well. So one of the things I think Anne's just touched upon a little bit there is actually my next slide as well. That idea that we have a job for everyone. It's not just about door knocking in the Labour Party. That is really important, because it allows us to have direct conversations with potential Labour voters, and to cut through that some of the media things that are out there. The Tory Party can't do that. They can just spend more money than us. But what we've got is actually 500,000 strong volunteers who can have fantastic conversations with potential Labour voters up and down the country. But there's so much more you can do as well by being a member. Actually, working from being a volunteer to help make teas and coffees, helping identify campaign issues, take photographs, write press releases, drive volunteers, phone up members, as Anne said there as well, delivering leaflets, stuffing envelopes, bundling leaflets, collecting petitions, social media, giving out posters, and actually, if you needed somewhere for a polling the operation, like giving people your living room, putting posters up, so much more that there's idea that we should have a job for everyone to do that as well. So
also, when someone took the first step on their volunteering journey, say that they've agreed to drive voters to the polling station, they're more likely to take the next step and then escalate what it is that they're doing for the Labour Party. So it's really useful to get people involved.
And I think actually one of the things I've found really well is actually sometimes the communication, the language that we use. When we're asking people to do something for the Labour Party, we just say to people, "Oh, can you deliver some leaflets?" Or we might say, "Can you come to a fundraising event?" Or "Can you give us some money?" Or "Can you come out door knocking?" And we engage and we ask people just around the task, but we don't actually tell them what we hope to achieve by doing these tasks. So a little bit, I call it about we organise, we should sort of engage around the task rather than engaging around the politics. So we actually explain to people, whether that's either face-to-face or in our emails, by delivering this leaflet or knock on these doors, you're helping to elect Labour councillors who are fighting locally against the Tory cuts, or by knocking on the doors or leafleting, you're going to help our local parliamentary candidate, our local MP, become another Labour MP that actually is going to deliver a Labour government and give Jeremy the keys to number 10. If you're going to give some money to the Labour Party, then we're going to purchase direct mail that we can target key voters with to help win this seat for the Labour Party. That's the thing. So if you've got local elections, saying by winning the council seats, you're going to take those first steps towards delivering a general election victory as well. Also by attending training sessions, we're going to give you the confidence to put your support for Labour into achieving votes for Labour. So it's a little bit just some examples there of the language that we can use. So think about that the next time you're putting out an email or you're speaking to someone as well. So I think that's really important to do that. I think we've just touched upon it there. If I can move on to the next slide, make time to train people as well. Have that idea of a set of events or training events, not just for new members. I think those longer established members can fall into bad habits as well. So make sure that you remind them a little bit about the strategies as well. Offer a range of online and face-to-face. And make sure that you're inviting other people that they know about our webinar schedule of what's coming up as well, or they can have a look at the webinar library as well. I don't know how many of you have had a look at Achieve, which is our e-learning platform. Make sure that you're aware to that and you're actually sending out some of what's available on Achieve, which is an introductory to the Labour Party. There's also stuff about knocking on doors, getting involved. There's going to be some sort of role holder modules as well, type of thing as well. I think there's a better word than modules, but I can't actually remember what it is at the moment. But by providing briefings for people at the beginning of door knocking sessions, or even actually a little bit of putting the politics into your fundraising activity as well, why people are here tonight at a fundraiser, helps break down some of those barriers that people might have towards getting involved as well. And another thing that I'm so very keen about, and hopefully you might have seen it advertised in the training email, is this idea of a constituency development plan. We advise that you might do them just after officers have been elected, after your AGM, but there's no reason why you couldn't do one now. And what it is a little bit like this plan that we're talking about today, put into words over 2 or 3 pages. So it covers training, fundraising, campaigning, political engagement. And actually what is it goes to your GC, the all members meeting or whatever that you might have, and actually people sign up for it, it's talked about, it's debated, and it's agreed type of thing. And that's, I think it's really important to do that, because have a look at it, it's online, and make sure that everyone's be able to, it's on the training area of the party site, so you can actually have a look at it and adapt it. You can download it, it's only a Word document, and actually localise that as well. So have a look at that and let me know what you think about that as well.
So you've got your plan in place and you've got a few volunteers who are ready to come along, and the next thing you want to do is go and talk to the voters. What we'd advise at the moment, and we're outside of elections, when we're far away from elections, which in theory we currently are now, is that you have a wide pool of potential voters, and then you narrow it down as you get closer to an election. Now, what I will say is that you don't need to think about building these voter pools. They are already there for you on Contact Creator, and it does change as the electoral cycle changes. So it's called Recommended Voter ID. I genuinely would be really advise you to go and have a look at that, because it is a very wide pool. It might miss out some people that you think should be in, but have a look at it and see what you think. You know your area the best. And then it will start to narrow down. It will be, and it will perhaps have Labour voters who voted for the first time in 2017, potential switchers, Labour supporters who don't always vote. You should be talking to them and trying to get them on, perhaps onto a postal vote, and strong Labour votes nearer as you get close to the election. On polling day, you want to be talking obviously to strong Labour voters who don't always turn out, just to remind them to go and vote, because it's about getting more of our voters there than their voters, obviously. So in summary, we need to identify strong Labour voters and mobilise them and make sure they turn out. Identify Labour supporters and who don't always vote and make sure they turn out, hopefully by a postal vote. Identify potential switchers who have voted for other parties in the past or are particularly thinking of maybe leaving Labour, and make sure that they vote Labour and get them to turn out. So, your doorstep conversation programme, getting out and speaking to electors about your issues and how they might vote is a priority. As I've said before, it's really important to enter the marked register wherever you can, so that you can use it for targeting in your campaign and GOTV activity. If you've got your marked register in, you know who votes.
And I think as well, actually, in that doorstep programme that you're putting together now, just talking a little bit about actually that engagement, saying to them, saying to them, in preparation for general election, in that message, we want to talk to as many people as possible who might just say that they only ever see us at election time, but actually, we know that there's not election at the moment. So actually, sometimes when you're talking to people, actually, I sometimes find that you bring that up, and you know what? Sometimes people only ever say that see us at election time. But that's not the case. That's why we're out today, wanting to talk about voters, about the issues that they care about
that's
as well.
It's not as much voter ID focus at this time when we're not in an election period. You should be asking the issues that are coming up in the ward. What are the issues that they'd like a potential Labour councillor or a sitting Labour councillor to act on for them, and what would they like to change when Labour gets into government? So surveying, but it is always very useful to get that voter ID. If there was a general election tomorrow, how do you think you would vote?
Yeah, a quick question's just come in there, and I think Dave's asked, can you still get the marked register from the last general election?
Sadly not. I don't think. You could contact your council if they have stored it, but they normally only store it for 2 years, which we have just passed that now. It'd be worth asking your returning officer if they still have it, and if they do, definitely get it in. It is a big arduous task. Anyone that's ever done it, you get all of the marked register are books that are scored through with who's voted, but it's worth asking because some councils may have it. You have to pay for it. It's normally about £7 per 1,000 electors or something like that. That is off the top of my head.
Oh, but I think and also sometimes I remember how many pages it was as well. I think it's roughly around about £130, £150 or something like that.
Constituency, less for a ward, obviously.
Yeah, but it is really valuable data as well. So let us know whether you can get it. Also, I don't know whether some regional officers might have. If
you live in a marginal, the seats that have already selected, mainly the seats that selected up until last year, it's more likely that your regional office might have helped you with that. But if you're in perhaps a very safe Labour seat or a less marginal opposition seat, it's unlikely to have been done for you. But I'd contact the council because they may well still have it. My council in Corby tend to keep it, and I have got it later than 2 years previously. So
have a try with that. If you can't get the general election one, at least get your last local election one as well, and input that. It's not just about.
Beans are putting the European one in as well.
Yeah, that's true as well. So
what's really important about your doorstep conversations and the programme is trying to get new people along, because they might never have been before. So in whatever communications you're doing, just say, don't worry if you've never been before, we'll buddy you up with someone, there'll be field training, that kind of thing, and it's more likely to get new people along. So you've now got all your people out on the doors, and you know who you're going to speak to, but what are you going to say to them? What are the key campaign messages and the issues that you're going to focus on? I'd test, like I said to you before, I'd survey. The best thing, I've not long come back from the Peterborough by-election where we had an amazing victory there with Lisa. And what we did was between January and the election being called there in May, we spoke to thousands of voters and we asked them what it was, the issues that were concerning them. And then we used them really effectively in the by-election campaign. So that's what you should be doing, your message and your campaigns should be all focused around what people are telling you. What we care about as Labour Party members might not necessarily be what they're coming up on the doors. So the best way to find out what to campaign on is to ask. And then you refine it and you make sure it's in tune with Labour values and that your candidate and everybody is singing from the same hymn sheet with their message.
And I think what is important on that about the message as well is actually if you're writing a leaflet or you're writing a direct mail or something, or you're writing a thing, consider that what you're not writing it for is Labour Party members. What you are writing it for is potential Labour voters. And that's the sort of, we're all convinced, we're not going to change our mind. It's the people out there who actually, those the first time voters, those potential switchers, those just only general election voters. Those are the people that we need to motivate to get them to the polling station as well. So really do consider that when you're considering your message and what you're putting on.
If you're in a Labour area with a Labour council or you are a Labour councillor, then you should always be playing on your delivery and what you could change if we had a Labour government. But if you're in an area where you are in opposition, make sure that you're pinning the blame for things firmly at where the blame lies, which is at the door of the opposition and ultimately the Tory government. So this is what we would suggest as a print package nearer to an election to be going out in, say, the last 3 or 4 months before an election, ideally the last 6 weeks if you have the money to. So in your marginal wards, you'd want an election address, a leaflet, an out card, and a direct mail. In your stronger Labour wards, you would have an out card.
You wouldn't have the direct mail, really, isn't it?
Well, you wouldn't have the direct mail, no.
Yeah.
You'd have an out card, a GOTV operation, and an election address leaflet there. And then your future prospect wards that maybe you aren't looking to take this time, but you could do in the future. Just don't waste your money too much on them, but make sure that people know that there is a Labour candidate to vote for. So an out card and a leaflet is more than enough there.
Going back there rather than forward.
So what you should do is have a communications plan with all of your print and everything, and then you put in there, as you can see on there, what you're going to be delivering when. Make sure you've got the money you're thinking about the money, which we'll come on to in a bit, and when you're going to deliver it. Think about when the print deadlines are. We are very excited that Labour Connect is going to be launched this week, we believe.
Yes,
and you'll be able to, I call it, even though the print team don't like it, we all call it the Labour Party's Moonpig. It's really, really good. You just put in the pictures and the words. A lot of people have had some glitches with the previous system, but this one's really, really good. You can change the size of the pictures, you can change the size of the font, and there is a really wide range of stuff that you need to do. But before you get to that, if you're putting out, say, the February newspaper, what do you need for that? Think about getting the photos now, year-round photos, different clothes with the candidates. We've all seen the pictures where the candidate seems to be in loads of different places, but they've got the same jumper on. Make sure you're thinking about good landmarks, where you get your pictures and everything taken.
Yeah, and change, like you just said, change jackets, change ties, you know what I mean? So it looks like as if they all haven't been taken on that same day. And what I just want to be clear that what we're not saying there is don't wait until February to start putting out a leaflet. That's just a little snapshot. What I would be now, if I was in a seat, be thinking, if I haven't already, saying I'd want to get something out over the summer. I'd start now on getting a leaflet out, or a tabloid newspaper, which are a little bit cheaper than a leaflet as well, and you can cover more stories. I'd want to get start that leaflet now, have that delivered by the end of September type of thing, or the middle of September before Labour conference type of thing. What I would then want to do is to have another leaflet or a direct mail that goes out between the sort of the October time, and then think about, are you going to then do a Christmas card? If you have got that money, then a Christmas card that goes to some of the, not just Labour Party members, but goes to key businesses, key supporters. Also, if you have got, this is, in an ideal world, are you doing regular birthday cards to those people who are turning 18 as well, first time voters as well? So there's some of the different things for you to consider as well. I think, in an ideal world, places should get about at least 4 leaflets in a year as well. So, that's some of the things that we're talking about, isn't it? There's some of the different types. We have election addresses, which you have usually nearer to a campaign, regular newsletters, and some direct mail, some really good. You don't need to have design skills to use Labour Connect, our platform. They're all in there. You just cut and paste the words in, insert some pictures in there, and they do look really good. They're on brand as well.
They also have in there some suggested texts and stuff for things, which is really, really useful for people. You can't think what to write. It's all policy checked, it's all perfectly ready, and it talks about, and you can just change the names of your areas to go into it, and you can find them in assets and snippets. But I really, really would recommend using Labour Connect's print, because it is the most useful. And I've used it all my time as an organiser. I've never used it privately designed.
Yeah, Connect is a replacement for Campaign Creator.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Digital campaigning, I think I'm going to talk about now, it's not an alternative to door knocking in print. What it should be is part of that joined up campaign. So your door knocking and also your print activity. Digital campaigns, another layer that you can put out there, asking people to get involved or support something, or to sign an online petition as well. So it shouldn't actually have shouldn't be seeing anything different on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram type of thing, that you're seeing something differently. Don't be seeing something differently there that you might be seeing in your leaflets as well. Make sure that your content is relevant, it's engaging, it's frequent. Have a plan that matches some of your branches stuff, some of the micro local stuff, as well as what you're doing as a CLP. If you've got candidates, make sure that they're putting on videos as well, nice short videos, which have also got subtitles as well, so people can read them as well. We will suggest prioritising Facebook over Twitter as well. We are also upgrading Promote at the moment.
Yeah, apparently it's going to get much better. I know how to use Promote and think it's really, really successful, but totally recognise that it's quite glitchy.
Yeah.
But it is a really, really great tool. I've seen people using it as a digital outcast, which is really, really excited.
Yeah, no, that's definitely so. Actually, they can deliver. If you've been out door knocking something, then we can then actually have you can coincide that afternoon launch of some digital advertising later on that day to say we were in your local area. So I think that's really good. Utilise for the many hashtag. People like to feel like they're part of it. Or if you're out at the weekend, hashtag Labour Doorstep. It's some of the ones that we use nationally as well. If you're sharing something, actually ask people to do something. If you agree with me, or please share this post, or now's the time to get the message out as well. We have got two guides. We've got a digital campaign guide. Also, we have a Promote campaign which is going to be updated as well. So, quick couple of questions have come in here.
So David, yes, we do have an Instagram account. We have a very active Instagram account, and we post on there regularly. We post both to the main feed and to stories. We also have Snapchat. We post on Snapchat all the time. Follow us at UK Labour on Instagram, and you'll be able to see some of the really, really great work we do. We also do, as well, we promote works for Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. So, I wouldn't recommend using it on Twitter. I think it's a waste of time. On Twitter, you're either talking to people that you vehemently agree with or vehemently disagree with. But yes, we do use Instagram as much, if not more, than we use Facebook. But I'd advise all candidates to get an Instagram account as well, and utilise loads of hashtags to make people be able to find you.
Just sideline as well, obviously there's our social media guidance, which is actually how we engage with people, our compliance and legal unit put that together. So have a look at that at members.labour.org.uk, legal and compliance downloads as well. David said, quote, as an 18-year-old, Facebook is for old people.
Well, I'm 40 and there's a lot of people my age on Facebook and they don't vote. So we did really good stuff on Facebook in 2017 general election to drive particularly women like my age out to vote, and it really, really worked. But it's like you say, it's tailoring it to the different audiences. Instagram, we put different content on to we do on Facebook.
Yeah. And for instance, my two kids who are in their early 20s type of thing, I know you wouldn't believe it, they actually really enjoy getting direct mail because they don't actually get that much post. So, that allows, they will open it if it's addressed to them, and actually think, who's this from as well. So, as I said at the beginning of this bit, have lots of different levels, allows us to actually cut through into different people in different ways, some unexpectedly as well. So I think this is what I was just mentioning as well, this little idea of having a grid and it's just starting out for an October type of thing, taking you through to if you've got campaigns for next year, and it builds on what Gail was saying, and that the idea of marginal wards, strong Labour wards, and future prospect wards as well. So it's quite a nice grid. So not everyone has to have the same. If you only have got a budget, and Gail's going to talk about that next, this allows you to actually concentrate your resources in those targeted areas that we need to win to get Labour councillors or to get a Labour MP as well. So you know that using Insight, is Gail mentioned as well, so you should know where are the strong Labour areas that will come out and vote for us, but also those Labour areas where we need to get them out to the polling day, onto the polling day as well. Yes, I do think we have. Do we have?
Yeah, we have templates for all of the Eid. All of the religious festivals, we have templates for those on Labour Connects. Apologies that it's not up and running at the moment, but we do. You need to be very, very careful, obviously, in your targeting of them. But yes, we do all religious festival Christmas cards. All of the mainstream ones pretty much are available on Connect.
And if they're not there, just let us know, and we can make sure that we we'll make sure that we can get something designed if there is anything there missing as well. Dave, does Insight use contact rate of voter ID?
So Insight uses a load of things, but it will tell you how many contacts you've made and which wards and all the rest of it. It has all that back end. It has loads of demographic data on it as well, which tells us where we should be door knocking at which time. It also has really, really good local stats per constituency and per council. So if you don't have access to it, I'd really have a look at it, have a play with it. I'm sure we've got some guides on Insight on MembersNet as well, so I'd have a look at that as well, because it is very, very, very... We've been down the road...
We're not on MembersNet anymore.
Oh, sorry. On My Labour. We've been down the road teaching the MPs how to use it over the last few weeks, and they've been really, really excited by it, because it has a wealth of resources on there.
And I think what is good, I think you mentioned earlier, the idea that, you know, you can take some national copy if you're doing a leaflet, but then actually overlay that with some local insight and actually and facts and figures of the local area as well. So not only does it help you target and where to go, but also actually some of the key stats in your local area that are from the sort of police, NHS as well. So do have a little look out for that as well. So this is your grid. We've got an example here of a grid and your plan of when your digital activity is going to be, when's your leaflet's going to go out, when your fundraisers are, everything else. And that's the idea of having this type of grid as well. It's really helpful as well to actually sort of plan your month and year ahead as well. Budget. Money.
It's great to have all these ambitions, but it does cost. Like say, going out and running some sheets and knocking on some doors doesn't cost very, very much. But to run a successful campaign, you need to pay for these things. Committee room and building hire if you don't have somewhere to hold your polling day operation, leaflets, print of course, digital, paid for advertising. So if you are going to use Promote, it's about £5 for 1,000 impressions, which is really, really cheap, but you still need to pay for it. Supplies, phone lines, transport, how are you going to get people to canvassing sessions, or how are you going to get voters and to the polling day, and of course membership mobilisation events.
Yeah, so this is a little bit like working back from the idea of when polling day might be, and these are the things that you need to spend money on as well. Not just that, but that's how it's working back from that as well.
Your budget should cover everything, plus a contingency that you're going to spend on your campaign plan. Think about realistically what it is that you need to deliver a decent campaign and put it into the plan. Don't depend on money from outside sources. Sometimes in general elections, most times in general elections, candidates will be given money from trade unions, but don't bank on it and have stretching goals, of course. Yeah,
and when you're organising fundraisers, a little bit on the next slide, an idea of actually saying to people that this money is going to be for the general election. It's going to go to that pot. What you can give now, don't wait until the election's called to give us money, because you might not be able to spend it, type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it does take all of that plan. To actually, take 2 or 3 weeks sometimes to put a leaflet together as well. So the idea there was just talking about the budget and plan backwards, make sure that you've got enough money going forward, type of thing. Start off with little and try and have lots of regular fundraisers as well. As I said there early on in the thing.
More regular asks are the best to make rather than big, huge asks. The budget will need to include everything that you need to spend money on. Expenses are different, are only applied during campaign periods, but you need to think about that. You need to, if you're going to be in a position where you're spending right up to the wire, you need to make sure that you've got all your big ticket items out of the way and through the doors before the expenses kick in. Election expenses are the candidates' expenses. As you know, there are the returns that you fill in, but they do not cover everything. So member mobilisation, for example, isn't in election expenses. In a general election period, you have in a normal cycle, you have a long campaign and a short campaign. So the short campaign will normally be the 35 days before a polling day.
Yeah.
If it's a snap election, that's going to be all we have. And a long campaign, going back to 2015, for example, started on the 21st of December. So all the things need to be regulated then. National spend is not a thing in local elections, obviously, but things that our teams put through your doors, which are Vote Labour today and don't specifically mention a candidate, you don't need to worry about accounting for them. And expenses are the agent's responsibility. But if you're incurring any spending and you're not the agent, you need to tell the agent. That is very, very important. Having been an election agent, as Paul has lots of times, it's quite frustrating when you have a really costed out grid and going right to the wire and someone's put a leaflet out with your candidate on that you don't know about it, which has blown 100 quid that you had.
Yeah, and I think also what I would say with regards to the agent and actually planning your campaigns is if you don't know who your agent is going to be, start looking out for people now and planning who that person might be. It's difficult if you haven't got a candidate, because a candidate appoints that agent, but actually when you do have a candidate and saying, look, here's someone who we have locally, and they can find out a little bit about it and are prepared to do it, is really important thing to start thinking about. I'm going to have a little think about that question.
There is.
Coming from
I can answer it.
Yes.
It's in the legal handbook.
Tell people what the question is, because everyone may not
the
seen it.
question from David Tinkle here is there an easy guide we can send out to members making sure they don't accidentally spend money they shouldn't? It is all in our legal handbook, which is again all on behind your My Labour login on Members.net. It's called Members.net still, right?
No.
I only log into it every day.
It's all the members area of the Labour Party website.
So it's all in there, and you can send it out to them, telling them that they can't spend money, and get the agent sent to call. Yeah,
definitely. And to talk a bit about we did mention this earlier, and the whole budget, and actually trying to get some ideas. Plan your fundraising type of thing. I used to find that one of my old salespeople before I moved was, we try to encourage people to have, 6 events or something, but each branch to have something throughout the year, rather than having everything together, 6 branches trying to do a curry night in sort of March and April, just before the elections, because, people only have a certain amount of money each month that they're prepared to give to the Labour Party type of thing if they're going to go to a social event, so they can't go to everything type of thing. So plan stuff out around the year. Have idea of summer drinks parties, or have things at people's houses. There's some really good ideas about. And I think where people, I forgot what they're called now, but we have them, and Newcastle have had them, whereby people go to someone's house for a start, or a little bit of a meal, and then they go to someone else's house for a main course, and then they go out to someone else's house for dessert, and then back to someone else's house for cheese or something, and people pay a certain amount of money, but the person who's cooking it obviously gets the money to cover the ingredients,
and the rest goes.
and the rest of it is a profit for the Labour Party. We do have a fundraising guide, and that's in there as well. So try and do that. Try and get people to actually set up direct debits to give regularly to your local party, and or to give nationally. Depends on which one they want to do. Either way, they can do it. Have that plan of having the big events as well. Don't be shy about having events that might cost £30 or £40 or something as a gala dinner type of thing, but have a range of events that range from, there might be free events to events that cost £5, have offers for people who might be lower waged as well. Have a range of events, but don't be afraid to have those big events as well. That will help you sort of raise a couple of £1,000 if possible as well. We do have an updated fundraising guide as well, not just from 2017. Each CLP also can have a donations page as well, whereby that links you can put onto your local website, or you can just send out a link to it. If you want to find out a little bit about it, email membership@labour.org.uk to request it.
Every CLP does have one.
Yes.
And they're on if you go onto the Labour Party website there, you click on people and you go to the seat, especially CLPs in particular that have candidates selected or MPs already definitely have one.
Yeah.
If you'd like one just for your constituency, just email Membership Action and they'll set you one up, and that money goes directly, it goes to the Labour Party, but then we send it straight to the Secretary or Treasurer's bank, nominated bank account.
Yeah, and what we then do though is actually that we make sure that we check that whether they're permitted donors, that they're on the electoral register, that they're UK citizens. We do those checks, and we don't take a cut. So don't use Just Giving pages and other pages.
Yeah.
Use actually the Labour Party site for you as well. Use that link that you'll have to regularly give in your regular email communications as well. Make sure that we then, we give it to people. Make sure that we, as I said earlier, that we include that link in our fundraising, actually why we're fundraising, what we want to achieve with it, and how much actually, £10 can buy us this amount of leaflets as well. I've just got a little bit about time now, so we've gone a little bit longer than we said, so we're coming to the end now. So if you have actually got any questions, do pop them in there now as well. So we've got 5 action points for you to take away from this afternoon's webinar. Start now. Don't be afraid to start actually putting that plan together now. Be outward facing. Make sure it's not just 2 or 3 of you planning. Try and bring other people into this when you're creating that plan. Have some clear targets of what you want to achieve and when you want to achieve it by, but also be ambitious a little bit. Not that idea about not preparing to fail type of thing, but actually have them targets that are a little bit stretching as well of what you would like to be in that event that a general election's called in October and November time. We never know what's going to happen this year as well. So that's it. As I say, you want to get in touch with us, email us at training@labour.org.uk. Visit some of the documents. If you go to labour.org.uk/training, you can find out a little bit more of some of the different guides that we're talking about today. We also have our e-learning platform, which is achieve.labour.org.uk as well. If you want to find out a little bit if you want to get into our membership team, email labourmembership@labour.org.uk, or you can give them a call between those times as well. Thanks a lot for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you all very, very much. Happy campaigning.
Yes, good luck with all of your campaigning as well. And also just do get in touch with us if you've got any other questions, comments on the webinar. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If there's anything else that you'd like to see that we should cover, then please do let us know as well. So thanks for everyone. Bye-bye.